Doc Rivers continues to, time and time again, not get it when it comes to getting... Oh! Let him play!
How Connecticut are you? Are you wearing khakis and a polo?
Regarding Lynch, who cares? What was he going to do today? Was he going to address each reporter? Oh, thank you for the question!
Cap ran through the entire Yankee lineup, but he left out one guy, and his name is Alex Rodriguez.
I like to try and forget about him because.
From Los Angeles, this is Dave in the City, brought to you by Locks of the Week Radio. Now, here's Dave Medina.
Good evening, sports fans, and a pleasure to have you here for the big WrestleMania show. Doing it again for the year 2016 with all our friends as we prepare for a big night in Big D with WrestleMania taking center stage this weekend. Well, we have a nice panel for you joining us on the program tonight. Two of them are already with us. We'll run them all down here for you. The panel in question, we have our friend John in Greenwich. We call him Yachts. We have Ari in Philadelphia. We call him Ari in Philadelphia. We'll be joined by Parcells Falling Out. We'll be joined by a couple quickies. We'll be joined by Umberto's Clamhouse, hopefully, in this hour. But I got to make sure to send him the new number. Let's just introduce who we have right now. I mean, this will be very good. We will cover some storylines. It's a very, very skeletal structure tonight. This is all about enjoying the program, talking about all the scenarios, and having some fun. We'll have a lot of fun tonight as we will carry you to midnight out east, or is that right? Yeah, midnight out east, or 9 o'clock here on the west. So let's begin. We start with our first of the guests, and that would be John in Greenwich, Connecticut. It's been too long. John, welcome to the program. How's it going tonight?
Hey, Dave. How are you? I don't think I've been on since last year's show.
Yeah, I think you're right. So how about that? So good to hear from you. Ari, once again, good to have you back. Great show last week with the baseball. What's up?
Good to be back, Dave. Slightly different context this week.
Yep.
Just a little bit different. Last week wasn't super serious, but this week will be hopefully much less serious.
Yeah, no question about it. So, this is going to be an interesting year because the first thing out of the box, right away, you are going to notice something different about wrestling this month and probably for the next several months, because a couple of guys have left, but most notably of all of them, Daniel Bryan, and he seemed to be a big crowd favorite, and he inspired the yes, yes, yes chant that almost everybody in sports has tried to copy, and you see it all over the place now. I mean, describe what wrestling's impact is going to be without him, Ari.
Well, he's been gone for a while. Like he just retired, but before that he wasn't around because he was like trying to get cleared to wrestle, but they would never clear him medically, and so they've been without him for a good long time. But right now their issue is there's this insider wrestling term. The term is over, and what it means is basically if the fans care about you, you're over. And right now, almost nobody is over in that company, and he was, and
wow.
They just missed that.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, it's really funny how much of the experience is gonna die down, and a lot of these contrived storylines, like say Roman Reigns, for example, or maybe Brock Lesnar, it's just not catching on in the same way. So let's chat about the Daniel Bryan retirement, and we'll introduce our other two panelists to the program. We begin with Parcells Falling Out. Welcome back to the show, sir. How's it going tonight from Connecticut?
Going great, Dave. Thanks for having me. What's up, boys?
Hey, what's up?
Yo.
Good stuff. And let's introduce also Umberto's Clamhouse from the sunny shore of San Diego. How's it going tonight, Mr. Clamhouse?
Hey, what's up, Dave? Pretty good.
Cool. Good deal. And one more joining us now, and here he is, a couple quickies. What's up, buddy?
I have been in the Ditcow green room. That place is struggling with divas, baby. This is how we get a WrestleMania going. You're doing right, brother.
It's all about the party, feller.
Bagging, brother, from the rafters. We got blondes, we got brunettes, and we got chicks with no hair at all. Woo!
It's good. Good times. Hey, we're going to get a little taste of the Nature Boy in this year's WrestleMania. He'll be participating in the Divas Matches.
We gotta get our laugh somewhere, boys. This WrestleMania looks like crap. So what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
No, it looks bad. It looks really bad. I actually watched Yeah. What's up, man? I actually watched the last 2 weeks, and it's like mind-numbingly bad. It was really a chore to get through it.
It doesn't get worse.
Like 3 hours long, too. It's 3 hours long.
Well, a cool part of
Jesus
WrestleMania
Christ.
is they have all these indie cards. They have all these indie cards, and there's one going on outside of Dallas on Saturday night called Men in Underwear Mania. So that should be pretty awesome.
Well, let's face it. The entire weekend, when it comes to straight wrestling, WrestleMania is probably going to be the least attractive out of everything they have going on, from the indie shows to NXT to even the Raw on Monday night, which is usually one of the best Raws, if not the best Raw of the year. So strictly from wrestling, WrestleMania is probably going to be fourth, fifth, or whatever on that list of what's going on this weekend.
I totally agree with that. Absolutely.
Look at that. So that's how it begins tonight with our setup for WrestleMania. Just to recap, everybody on the panel, it is John in Greenwich. It is Parcells falling out, also in Connecticut. It is a couple quickies, Ari in Philadelphia, and Umberto's Clamhouse. They're all here to join us tonight to really not only preview these matches, but poke fun at them at the same time, because this does seem like it just seems to get worse every time we do this. And I don't know. So what do we look forward to? I mean, Daniel Bryan's out of the loop. He retired. Sting is reportedly going to retire. Are you guys buying that from WWE? And I was also reading today that somebody else got fired for calling the audience a bunch of pricks. Brad Maddox. And, all right, so you guys are going to have to run that one down for me. Now, so let's recap what's been happening over the last year.
When was the last time Brad Maddox was significant anyway?
Well, that's what I was thinking.
don't think ananybody, he got fired. I don't think
Did anyone even know he was still under contract to begin with? I mean, let's be real.
I don't even think I know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He was like a crooked ref in a story. He was the GM at some point. Yeah, he's not anybody. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I mean, if I could add one more thing, Dave. Sting's like that. He's not coming back. Like, I think he needs like back surgery or something. So like, he's not coming back.
Sting he broke his neck in a match.
Yeah.
They had a 28-year-old CrossFitter drop a 56-year-old man on his neck, and someone thought that was a good idea up in Stamford. I think he did it twice. It might be gift of the year, though. Sting, that's the one thing we'll say for wrestling. Sting he's got it locked up for gift of the year. It's either him as I believe the quote, somebody on the board, maybe Umberto, maybe Leo, had it as Sting looks like a hot asshole from WrestleMania with his hair all blown out. Or Sting doing the drunk stumble with his C3 vertebrae cracked. That's what's going on since last WrestleMania, Dave.
Wow.
No, seriously,
yeah.
That match is painful to watch. I mean, like, he's literally dying out there, and people are like, oh, my God, get up, Sting. I can't get up, geez, my back's broken.
I mean, to give you some perspective, I think Johnny Cash was 58 when he was doing all the Rick Rubin, Delia's Gone albums. And, look at what a 58-year-old looked like back then. And then you have Sting getting dropped on his neck for no reason at all.
My gosh. I mean,
Dave, that was probably the theme of the year. You asked for a quick roundup. I'll jump in with some of it. They had Seth Rollins as a champion for a while, and he ended up getting injured. He legitimately blew out his ACL doing a backflip at a match in front of 6,000 people in Europe for no reason. And and they've had always 9 million injuries hitting the roster is really kind of what went through there. They had Cena went down. I know Randy Orton's been down. Cesaro's been down. That's probably been the theme of the year in the WWF is the number of injuries they've had. So, nothing great storyline-wise or like that, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think if they had a WrestleMania with only the injured guys on it, it would be better than this one is going to be.
Oof. Yeah, absolutely.
Ouch. Not saying much, is it? So, with that in mind, I'm just wondering, like, what is the future going to be for this, for the sport of wrestling? I mean, they're even like, I remember, now correct me if I'm wrong, but there have been a lot of talk. There's been a lot of talk about, well, how much longer is Vince McMahon going to do this? And he is the league. I mean, he pretty much he engineers it from the top down. I mean, what could be in the future for wrestling as we go into this?
I could see Vince being an Al Davis, where the guy starts to lose it and he won't give up any control at all until he just finally keels over. I can definitely see that with him.
Yeah, that's
absolutely happening.
That's a great call,
right?
I love
can't you guys see that?
Yeah, he's staying in charge 100%. Until he drops dead at his desk.
Yeah,
that's a perfect analogy.
The difference, though, is
actually,
WWE is a publicly traded
Jerry
company.
Jones,
The Raiders are not.
Yeah. Well, Jerry Jones.
Yeah, I
is also
know,
doing
but
Al
they've
Davis,
been, and look how it's, I don't know how much that actually impacts what Vince does. Maybe, I guess it does on TV with what they allow, but still, I don't know. Can you see him just walking away easily? I could see a lot of trouble if that ever tries to occur.
He's starting to resemble Al Davis, so I don't know. No, yesterday when I saw him close up, I was like, wow, he looks terrible. He looks like Don Knotts, pretty much.
Yeah, he looks.
I think Vince.
I was just going to say, he looks like he's at his own wake when they have like a close-up of him and he's got all that makeup taped on his face. He seriously almost looks like a corpse.
He does look old now.
Brutal.
Well, that's true, but he still works out like a freak.
I believe it.
Yeah, he definitely does, because I know some people that work there, and they've told me, he's still like in the gym all the time with his personal trainer, as going as hard as ever.
But think how hard you have to work out to look that good, in all honesty, at age 70. It's like it's no wonder the wrestling.
Yeah.
That guy has to be in the gym 6 hours a day.
Yeah.
I mean, to try to keep any mass at 70, and the guy has a good amount of mass, but he must work out crazy.
Yep.
It's kind of.
Dave, I think he's been losing his fastball a little bit as a performer. Just even last night, his voice was just weak, and I don't know if he's stressed out from WrestleMania or whatever the drain is. But they brought him back on TV after being off for a while, and it definitely it's got a little feel of Michael Jordan on the Wizards. He's there, but it's not what he was.
No, he's starting to resemble Jody Mack. That's what he's starting to resemble.
Oh my god! Yeah, he's looking his age. I will say that. I mean, when I remember when the Attitude Era started, about now, what is it, like almost 17 years ago now? It's been a long time, but he was old, but he did not look old. Like, he definitely had a lot of vibrancy for his age, and I remember that very well. Like, man, this guy could kick some people's ass, and he's already in his 50s. Well, now he's like, whatever he is, like in his 70s or what have you. And I mean, he still can probably beat most of us in an arm wrestling bout, but he's probably doesn't have the same kind of strength in his voice or the rest of him.
Well, the guy's been a performer on TV for literally at least 40 years, You have that old WWF network, and you see him, like, it's amazing. But, the amount of time you spent with Vince as a wrestling fan, if you're an old enough loser like me, that you go back that far. But, it's incredible, the run he's had. I mean, unfortunately, he's the one guy who'll probably never write a biography or do a meaningful interview. I mean, the stories that guy must have, but, the stories are catching up. And, that's all I got.
Yep. I got you there. Let's now segue now to our next topic, the WWE Hall of Fame and inductions, and the notable one, Snoop Dogg entering the WWE celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame. It is I can't even comment on it. I would just say I assume that's a good pick. Parcells, would that be a pick that makes sense for the celebrity wing?
Dave, I got less info on that than you do. So, one of these other guys may have something.
Dave, let me interject.
Sure.
I second what Parcells said to the point that I DVR Raw, and I do watch it every week on DVR, but anytime I see the Hall of Fame graphic come up, I instantly have and there are no exceptions. So you could skip me on this topic.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, I watched this last night. I don't even remember. That's like news to me. Like, when did it show up? I don't even remember.
Well, I read somewhere that he has actually, I had zero recollection of this. He's been at 2 WrestleManias, and they did something where he slammed Kurt Hennig's son off the top rope last year, which I kind of remember. Because his body looked like that.
He
looked like a praying mantis wearing pajamas. He was wearing like an all over like African print. He is so goddamn gangly. You know, he looks like Manute Bol if he got more stretched out. He's just so fucking weird. That's no Hall of Famer to me though. I think Dave, the big reason obviously they do it for a little pop-up Main Street publicity, and they'll get some press release out of it. And, that's what they're completely obsessed with now is any little token of a blurb they can get. Access Hollywood.
Makes sense. I mean,
is Access Hollywood still show? Who the hell knows?
Well, this is part of what I was thinking about earlier. Like, they must be fighting for relevancy now because I know they were a huge thing about 20 years ago, but are they as huge as they used to be? I mean, I guess you could make the case that they are, but I wonder if that's on the back of their mind. Like, how much longer can they sustain this amount of popularity?
Well, they're trying to do some stuff.
On Sports Center, they have these Sports Center segments every week. I mean, so I don't, and even last night they said they're going to be on every night this week leading up to Mania. So that's something that didn't used to occur. I don't know. They're trying to appeal to the mainstream, I guess. I have no idea.
ESPN is actually sending Jonathan Coachman to WrestleMania to cover it.
Right.
Would they do that?
One thing I noticed.
Oh, go ahead.
If there's one thing I noticed, they're actually, I don't know, I guess it's somebody that's good on the business side. They're having like much better sponsors, like more legitimate ones. Like they're getting like Snickers and like I can't name like all of them, but because they used to have like sponsors like Funyuns and stuff like garbage sponsors, and now like they're actually like getting like legitimate ones like M&Ms or whatever, like Snickers and things that like people would actually like heard of. So they seem to be doing good on that front.
Good. So the sponsorship.
I think there'll always be a market for wrestling. It just is what it is. It's never going to be. I think we may have discussed this last year, and maybe that was the lightning in a bottle. But it was when it was Raw and Nitro. I vividly remember I was in college at the time, and there was wrestling bar nights when they had wrestling on TV, and there was on the Monday Night Football and wrestling side by side. It just so happened the college I went to, King Kong Bundy lived in the town. So anyway, King Kong Bundy would go to the bar, and he would just be sitting there drinking, and then like wrestling took off. So then they're putting out printed flyers like, hey, come hang out with King Kong Bundy and wrestling. Meanwhile, old Bundy just would have been there no matter what, because he was just an old fucking South Jersey drunk.
He's like, I just want food.
But somehow that galvanized the mainstream appeal of wrestling to me. Like, wow, this is legitimized. King Kong Bundy. Oh, you're there. You're like, this guy main evented a WrestleMania, so you got to But, I think there'll always be some kind of segment, It's weird. You hear those old wrestling guys. They always say wrestling now is, whatever that parlance is fulfilled by UFC now. If that's true or not, I don't know. But I think there'll always be a place for it. How big it is, who knows? I don't know how they keep selling out these goddamn stadiums. That blows my mind. 85,000 tickets, I think they've sold so far.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm impressed by that, greatly, considering how long it's been in the game. That's what I was curious about. Like, how much longer will we have these kind of events that do take up a football stadium? But so far, so good. So good for them. On the venue itself, AT&T Stadium. I mean, it's a giant facility. And it has been the premier site for a lot of nationally known events. I mean, it's hosted a Super Bowl. It's had a stake in the Final Four. It's a big part. I'm not sure if they've done officially the Final Four yet, but they've done certainly the regionals that will go into the Final Four. So it's a great stadium. If you want a big event, this is the place to be. So they selected very wisely to take this venue. So I think we were already talking about Jerry Jones. This will be a very interesting next couple of days to see how that energy will translate into the event. Quickies, you were at the WrestleMania that was over at MetLife, and to watch an event with that many people, you're going to have like even more people because I believe more people fit inside of the Dallas Stadium. What do you think that kind of crowd could do to such a series of matches? Because like when you have that kind of energy from the crowd, do you think it will affect? And what did you think of the crowd base last year when they were over at Levi Stadium comparatively?
Well, the Levi one was interesting. We talked about it, and I think it was kind of a little bit of a diminished atmosphere with the daylight. It was kind of cool and interesting to see, but in the end, to their credit, one of the few things they still do well and maybe arguably better than anyone is the production and the lighting and, the staging and that kind of stuff. I don't know if last year when Rusev had the tank when he came out with that thing. And you sort of, that was a little bit compromised last year. So now they're in a dome and they're back to kind of their home base of, really being able to do that production. So, the people inside, what's interesting is I just heard today how long a day it's going to be. Like, I think they're having a pre-show starting at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And the show, they've already told the cable programmers is going to expect it to go to like 11:20 p.m. in the East.
Dang.
So, I mean, almost 5.5 hours. I mean, even WrestleMania, these are all wrestling crazies that are coming out to see it. But I would be concerned that would maybe drain and drag the crowd. But, you give them the right moment, they're going to pop and they'll be loud. So,
yeah, and Dave, kind of, for an event like this, the way they structure the card and the order of matches, it's kind of like a roller coaster ride.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably open up with something big like the Intercontinental ladder match, and that'll have a huge pop. And then they'll bring it up with another match, and then they'll bring you down with maybe the Divas tag team match. So they bring you through a whole roller coaster ride of emotion, and like the last match or two, just to a huge crescendo. So they don't go for the huge pops all at once. They try to take you on that ride throughout the 5 hours.
Yeah, I'm looking at the program now, and it corroborates your point. It looks like they've got a bunch of jokers in the beginning in this pre-show. There are 4 events in this pre-show, and we spoke of how useless the Battle Royal is. That's the first thing out of the box. So just like, let's just get this one out of the way, while people are finding their seats.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't want to see Tyler Breeze wrestle, Dave?
That thing is awful.
Damien Sandow, right? One thing that's good about that stadium, though, is that for this, is they have like the world's biggest TV right over it, the giant screen, which is bigger than any screen that they have at any other place. So, I mean, I think even if you have really bad seats, you'll probably have a really good view of it through that. And that'll at least keep those people engaged.
Interesting point.
I wonder if you can get a prop bet in Vegas if Shane will do a spot jumping off the giant Jerrytron.
That's a big leap. We're talking like, 500 feet at least? Thousands of feet in the air?
That's Shane's hallmark, Dave. That's his calling card.
Wow. We will look
That's the reason to watch that match. What's he going to do?
One thing on
Damn it, Triple H. I want a top Owen Hart.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm going to drop him off my damn Titantron, damn it.
Wow.
Who had 1025 is the first Owen Hart joke.
He actually missed.
That's crazy. Go ahead, John.
He actually missed it. He actually missed his spot yesterday, though, Shane. Did you see that?
Really?
He like completely missed it. Yeah, he comes.
Oh, well, yeah, it was a little off. Yeah.
Like maybe like
It's like they knew.
I just wanted to
It's
say
like they knew
something
he was
about
going to miss it,
the
though. They shot it from
stadium.
below.
Yeah, go ahead, John. Your point about the stadium.
Yeah, the problem with it is I think it's a great venue for it, and then the thing is they were marketing it as it's going to be the biggest WrestleMania ever and the biggest stadium, and then 50% of the top billed guys got hurt, so they've had to back off from that, and I think that's something that probably makes Jerry Jones not happy, the fact that occurred with all these injuries, because this was going to be like. When this was announced, they were saying, "Oh, Undertaker, this is going to be his last Mania. It's going to be the biggest one in history." Blah blah blah, and they've kind of had to back off from that.
But you know what though, I will guarantee that they announce a number bigger than 93,000 or change or whatever they had in the Silverdome.
They'll announce it, but will it be real or not is the next question.
Right, exactly right. I mean, they'll count ticket takers, they'll count concessionaires, they'll count security in the building just to get to that number.
Right, I agree.
I'm not totally convinced they will go past that number because they don't really have the feel-good story. For whatever reason, they have a huge hard-on for Andre, and I think they might see that as Andre's record. Andre drew that house. I know they're anti-Hogan, but that's their magical, mythical number, 93,000. But if they didn't legitimately hit it, I think there's a slight chance they actually not, able to say they just came close. Because I can definitely see them coming back to Jerry World,
Also, there are some
Roman,
people. There are some people that think the 93,000 numbers worked.
True.
Yeah, Meltzer is a big proponent of that. But I think it's legit based on the capacity of the stadium and then, the floor seats, my personal opinion would be that was a legit number, or close to it. But.
Interesting you bring up that body slam from Hogan on Andre the Giant. That was 29 years ago. 29 years ago. Where does the time go?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yep.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And speaking of Hulk, wow, the dude is getting paid, is he not? I mean, that settlement from Gawker. Some of you guys were really tuned into that trial, and this is not related to WrestleMania at all, but he was a WWE fixture for many years.
Dave, I know more about the Hall of Fame than I do the whole trial.
Well,
all I know is it's the only time I ever saw a guy wear a do-rag in a court, and that
sure.
Listen, we got the second to last OJ on right now. I'm going to have major OJ withdrawal. I hope there's a sequel next year with the Hogan trial.
That'd be something. Be some trial.
Fox will cast
with Matt LeBlanc and Hulk Hogan.
That's funny. Oh man, shortest Hulk Hogan ever. Just as bald though, but $115 million awarded to him in a privacy suit against Gawker. So a lot of speculation on whether that's the end of Gawker, whether that's the end of parent company Edspin. Who knows? That's just nuts. So yeah, that was it. That was all I had about that. Let's go ahead and get into these matches then. Yes, we will happily skip some of these pre-show matches. Let's just get into the singles. The champion.
Wait, I wanted to break down Dudley's Usos. I've been dying to do it.
Well, you will be so deprived.
Will they or won't they get the table, John?
I'll say that they end up. The Usos end up throwing them through a table, but they'll stay heel.
Oh, that's a given. Absolutely.
I will take.
I wish they'd give the Usos a raise so they could paint their face the whole way. They both have to paint their face only halfway.
Anybody else? Okay. Yeah. I now who are the Usos again? Are they? Where are they from?
Rikichi's kids.
Oh, really? Okay. Good to know.
It is an amazing return for the Dudleys, though. Like those guys were literally wrestling like in the bingo halls again. Like they were out of everything, and now they're back on WrestleMania. So that's on one level. That's cool for them.
All right, guys. I'm very Mike Francesa like this year. I'm just so out of it with some of these storylines. Okay, let's get it back on track. So for the
I don't think there are any storylines, Dave. There aren't any storylines.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
It's all on the fly.
I've been hearing it's not been very good with the storylines this coming year, this year. So let's make the most of it anyway. Now I have for you a list of odds that our friend Quickie sent to us, and we will begin with the championship match. Now let's see what you think of these odds. Would you take Roman Reigns at -700, or would you take Triple H at +400? And again, Roman Reigns is a guy that people really want you to like, but it doesn't seem to be taking. So if you look at it in terms of the sports book, which one would you put your money on? Would you lay the 700 or would you go +400? Let's feel free. Anybody who wants to tackle it, let's go ahead and tackle it. We'll start with Quick Man because he sent the odds. Where would you put your money on this one?
I think I would go with Roman Reigns. The one they have been terrible with storyline, as you said, Dave. But to give you a little refresher of what's gone on, they tried to sort of do like a Steve Austin / Daniel Bryan gimmick of they've had the authority, which I think you know, which is Triple H and Stephanie, who kind of run the show, and then you have Roman Reigns, who's the guy they've been trying to push, and as their next top guy, as their next John Cena for the next decade or whatever. And so it's kind of lined up to be the authority against Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns won the title for a brief spell. The authority screwed him. He won it back. They screwed him again. So that's where we're at now with Triple H versus Roman Reigns, which is really more or less their only story. And everyone kind of hates Roman Reigns. They've been kind of crapping all over him, getting booed out of the building. So I would bet on Roman Reigns winning the match just for their own kind of headstrongness.
Very good. So you're going with the chalk. Now, I don't know, but if the match is predetermined, why are there odds? I guess that's my question. Like, why is this allowed to bet on?
They're not
Betting don't know what
they
it's
don't
gonna be.
release them.
Okay, all right.
I think actually they had a scenario last year. Apparently there was a year, I forget what year it happened, whenever Undertaker lost. I don't know if that was last year or the year, 2 years ago. And apparently there wasn't a lot of late action. You could only bet on it overseas, like at Paddy Power or something. There was a lot of late action on Roman. Someone, obviously a handful of guys know the scripts, even if it's only 4 or 5, in the WWF, and why not lay the action, So I think there's probably a cap on how much you can actually bet on this crap. But because obviously we know Triple H is going over, hey, I'll lay down some money.
If you lose a sailboat over betting on Roman Reigns or one of the Usos or something like that, man, you will have to reevaluate your life. Am I right?
You know what, David? Honest to God, I saw R-Truth at 45-1 in the Battle Royal, the Ultimate Giant Battle Royal. That's not terrible. I could definitely. He's like one of the other few guys that gets a little bit of a storyline with Goldust. I'm like, maybe 45-1.
I like that, Dave. I'm in foreclosure because I lost my R-Truth fight.
Oh baby. It's funny, isn't it?
Hopefully Harrison gets Mike's E-Trade account number and loses Mike's fortune over betting on the track.
Oh gosh! And the weirdest part is it's probably true. It's probably happening somewhere in the world. So you can't even imagine. Can't make it up.
No, it'd be great if Harrison wears that mask, during the Christmas photos and stuff. He wears the luchador mask. He wears it everywhere. And Mike's take that crap off. Trying to yank it away from his face.
Alrighty, good stuff. Let me. I didn't get it from Parcells. Would you lay the chalk on this one too, or would you try to go for the upset here?
I definitely lay it on Reigns. I just don't see any reason why you'd keep the title on Triple H. But to me, the only way this thing becomes interesting, because it just seems so obvious that it's going to be Reigns, is if they do something like turn him heel. You know, nobody wants to see a babyface Reigns, but if they turn him heel somehow there, it becomes way more interesting. You know, there have been guys like Stone Cold Steve Austin on his podcast who've suggested that the natural progression of his character, because people don't buy into him right now, is to turn him heel and build him up that way, and then flip him babyface like they did to The Rock. You know, there have been those examples. So I think the only way this thing is interesting and comes to an interesting conclusion is if he turns, and they have that sort of swerve at the very end. But yeah, if you're just laying money, it should definitely go on Reigns.
My question is this: it's an obvious follow-up. All I ever hear about Reigns is how much people hate him. Like, what? Why are they even attempting this thing of him as a face? Like, just make him a heel already. I think people would respect him more.
Because Vince is a stubborn old man.
Oh boy! Wow.
And he's, you know, he wants to jam Reigns down everybody's throat, and he wants it done his way. So, you know, that's the way this thing ends up disappointing at the end of the night. And, you know, you don't want your 95,000 people going home disappointed or booing your champion or so. So I'm really just holding out hope that, you know, this is the way they put the belt on him or the title on him, but they flip him. So that's what I'm hoping for.
That's probably the only juice that you could even get from a night like this. Remember last year? The other highlight of last year was when somebody finally beat The Undertaker, and everyone was talking about, nobody beats him. Finally, he lost, and then Twitter exploded. So whether that was always in the plan or what, that was a score for WWE. So, you know, it was obviously at some point you had to make him lose a match. It just seems like you can't expect a guy who's like into his 50s to continue to be undefeated. It's just like, I know it's all fantasy in the first place, but that was just getting a little ridiculous. So, were you guys relieved to see that happen a year ago? No juice.
Actually, well, it was 2 years ago. I'll say it, but yeah. So it was 2 years ago when Lesnar beat him.
Oh, was it? Oh, good lord! Was it really 2 years ago?
Oh, I'm glad
sorry.
you CNF'd them.
Oh right, yeah, it was 2 years ago.
It had to be me, right? Somebody.
We were all thinking it, but I'm glad you actually did it.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a huge Heyman. Sorry. All right.
Dave, I'll say I think it was a mistake to have him beat him myself, but I know they ended up launching Lesnar. I think Lesnar was really the key to get them stuff on ESPN, which, you know, it still seems crazy to me, and I still feel like ESPN must look at them like the retard down the hall if they have to showcase wrestling like once a week. But even no, at that, it's like.
That might be not.
But Lesnar was still. Yeah, Lesnar still had the UFC credibility, so it did get them that. But like right now, how much better would it be if Undertaker was still undefeated and he still had something to do with him? You know, it's like this card could use an undefeated Undertaker right now. Like it really has no juice otherwise. But I guess that's one you could debate for the ages. Should he have gone over or should he not have? I don't know. But I will say that I think this card would look a lot more attractive with Taker fighting anybody. You know, those matches are dramatic no matter what, even if you do.
ESPN showing wrestling stuff, it kind of feels like CBS Sports Minutes. You know, like they had to do it. They're like, you know, we're getting money. I guess we'll show it. But then, like, they really don't. They're like really embarrassed. You know, they're like, yeah, you're wrestling.
Of course,
you know,
Coachman is the one that does the interviews.
Right. Coach
yeah,
could not wait to get out of WWE.
And like when you look at Coachman, you're like, he's not really an ESPN guy. Like, what the hell is this fucking idiot announcer doing on ESPN? This is the guy Rock was like hanging his T-shirt off, and now he's like telling us breaking sports news.
It's weird because
you get the feeling they're gonna write a downfall of ESPN book one day, and this is gonna be the huge chapter. Like the day we took WWF on our programming. Legitimate.
I hear you there. I think that's certainly the beginning of the end. In addition to Simmons leaving. Good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we're losing steam on that particular topic, and yeah, citing stuff from 2 years ago. I need some brain energy. Let's continue in our podcast tonight. Up next, Shane McMahon versus The Undertaker. And look, I'm going to try to guess the odds before I look at them. I'm going to assume McMahon is giving like 500 or maybe more, maybe 1,000. Let's see. No! I take that back. I keep forgetting the whole undefeated thing. Undertaker's giving 130, so it's a more or less even match because McMahon is even for the match. So it's actually a pretty close fight. And terrible job out of me after just talking about how he's undefeated and everything. So apparently they think he's going to win this thing, The Undertaker. So guys, if you're going to go into this thing, if Shane's going to fall out of the rafters, like where do you see what's going to happen in an Undertaker-Shane McMahon fight for a Hell in the Cell match? And for this, we will begin with our finale in Philadelphia.
Well, I think everything we've heard about the real-life stuff behind this is that we won't see Shane McMahon after WrestleMania. He's there only as a performer. He's not really back. He's not really on great terms with his family. And so I don't think we'll see him. And because I don't think we'll see him, I think that means he has to lose this match. Apart from the fact that he's a 46-year-old guy who's never been a wrestler, who's wrestling somebody who's supposed to be the greatest of all time. I don't see how they could put him over. Now he's there to bump like crazy and sell everything and do all the crazy stunts that he used to do one more time, and then lose. That's my thought. I would pick the Undertaker if I'm picking.
All right, down to the panel. What do you guys think, fellas?
I agree totally. That's a great synopsis. I think that I might risk foreclosure and bet the Undertaker on that because I think that's a low number. I really agree with Ari's reasoning though because Shane will get his spots in, the crowd will cheer it. The match could be a good match. It could be an entertaining match. I just don't see how the Undertaker can.
Okay. Anyone else want to tackle that?
I will be the contrarian. I will go with Shane in this match. And I know these guys said it's 100% bingo that he is not signed past it and blah, blah, blah. That's all absolutely true. But I think the way the dominoes are falling, you got to look at the main event. I think if we get that double turn of I definitely agree Roman Reigns will be turning heel, which in essence means you're left with Triple H turning face. And then you have, a lot of the players in this match dovetailing into that. The stakes of the Shane and Undertaker match are that they're fighting for control of the company or control of Raw or whatever it is. And I think it will play out somewhere where, maybe Shane screws the Undertaker. And this could be the match last year that was like the Sting match from a year ago. Sting and Triple H, and they brought out DX, and they brought out, the NWO. So I'm hoping like hell we get the Mean Street Posse coming out, Keith and Rodney. And, we have there's a lot of guys in the bullpen for the WWF that they haven't kind of said who's going where yet. So you have Stone Cold, you have The Rock, and you have Shawn Michaels, who are all kind of confirmed to be on the card. I think Foley will be there too, and certainly that's all attitude there of guys they could stick in there and maybe somehow screw the Undertaker over, give him. He's already lost at WrestleMania. If he was undefeated, I would never bet against him. But given that he's already lost. You can really advance a lot of stories out of putting Shane over here. But
Vince did say though that if he loses, then he'll never work again at WrestleMania. He said that on Raw last week. So that stipulation makes me even more think he's going to win.
I mean, is that really
same token? That's a stipulation Shane can reverse. I can't even believe we're debating this shit, but
that's true.
But it's true.
If he wins, he can
reinstate
him. Yeah.
See, I don't know how that's agree. Undertaker's like 70 years old. Like, fine, go home. I guess. Like, I'm not sure how that's.
Well, I'm just saying as a prediction. I don't think he's going to go out like this. I'm not going to miss him. I just don't think he will.
All right.
Well, there's only one thing I can guarantee. There's only one thing I can guarantee with this match is that Undertaker's hair is going to make Sting's hair look like Mike's hair.
Oh, man.
He's got the most bizarre haircut going right now.
No, the funny thing is,
I'm not sure what that means, but it was funny.
Yeah, I agree with Quickies that if Undertaker, if Shane wins this, it gives the story, it gives this whole thing a necessary reboot that it really needs to shake stuff up. But I just think, talking about the injuries earlier, Shane, one of the reasons that it seems they brought him back and threw a boatload of money at him is because of all the injuries. And it's always been, a common conversation that which former superstar or personality came back would get the biggest pop. And, outside of like CM Punk, it was always Shane, and people talking about, Shane, if Shane ever came back. And, he came back and got this monster pop about 6-8 weeks ago. But, I mean, just thinking about the storyline, and like somebody just said, I can't believe we're arguing and talking about this shit. But it really doesn't make any sense, him fighting The Undertaker. It's like, how did these two get put together? Fight, and Undertaker is fighting for Vince McMahon. I mean,
why would Undertaker fight for Vince?
But, so I mean, anyhow, so I think Undertaker wins it, and it's going to be status quo. Shane walks away, and the Authority is still in charge. That's just my take.
All right, so let's see about the next match on WrestleMania this year. It's still throwing me off that I can't use a number, but this year's WrestleMania, they don't want to use a number. If they were using numbers, it'd be WrestleMania 32 this year, by my understanding. So up next,
it's WrestleMania Star this year, Dave.
Yeah, WrestleMania Star, nice. It was WrestleMania Play last year, Star this year. Star, that's funny. Okay, so up next, Dean Ambrose versus Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman. And what is Heyman's role in this match? Out of curiosity.
He's managing.
He's like a manager.
Yeah,
okay.
He's the advocate for the Beast incarnate Brock Lesnar.
Gotcha. So it's kind of like a hype man in a sense, in a way, but he's the manager guy. Okay. So this is the no holds barred street fight. Let's get the odds on this. Thanks again for these odds, Quicks man. Lesnar is giving 150. Ambrose is plus 110. So let us go to the tape. We'll start with Umberto's for his look at this fight.
I'm like 100% sure that Lesnar is gonna win. Like I'm sure like it will be entertaining, but I'm pretty sure Lesnar is gonna win like 100%. I don't think they're gonna have Ambrose win. I actually think Ambrose stinks. Like I hate the guy. Like his like punches look like it had like the impact of like a wet paper bag. Like he always misses. He has like maybe like 3 moves that he does. Like people get on Reigns for having like little amount of moves. Like he has even less. And like I'm not even sure like why people think the guy's good.
Ambrose is doing the sickest comb over in history right now. I mean, he is doing a Trump level comb over. Like, I don't know how he keeps the match. Like, the guy's goddamn widow peak starts at his neck, but he's still like trying to have long hair. You know what I hate about Ambrose too? He does this fucking move where they punch him and he rolls back on the ropes and he has to like kind of like maneuver himself. So he does like a rocking chair like into the ropes and he's like he comes out like a house of fire.
No,
I mean,
that move was cool when we first saw it, but it's gotten so overdone that I now hate it. So. Like the first time he did it, but now he's got to do it like 3 times every match. It's like, okay, we get it.
I feel better watching Lanny Poffo matches than Steve.
No, that rebound, whatever, from the rope move, that's like Scotty Too Hottie to Warm bad. That's how bad that move is. It's like, it's disgusting. Like, I don't know how they let him do that every night. It's so bad. It looks like absolute trash.
Like it defies physics. Like he's outside of the ropes, but then he comes back in, but he's regaining his momentum. Like,
hey,
and he's dressed like a '90s lesbian. Like he's wearing like the tight like white beater. Like the guy has it's just like old 50s greaser jeans. Like,
Dave,
but I'm a pair of drunk, son. Jesus Christ.
All right, John, your question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I had a couple things on this match. I'm gonna pick Ambrose because I think the Wyatts are gonna interfere and end up setting a feud up with Bray and Brock going forward. Because the Wyatts don't have a match.
They don't, right?
They've kind of been, teasing the Wyatt-Lesnar thing since the Rumble. So I think that's the reason why Ambrose is able to win, because it's no DQ. So they'll interfere and somehow it'll screw Lesnar, and that sets up that feud. The other thing I want to say about this match, though, that it's like I understand about suspending disbelief, but when you're showing a guy with a chainsaw slicing a table at a bar, if I'm Brock Lesnar, my response is, okay, you come down the ring with a chainsaw, I have a gun on me. End of match. I mean, I may get arrested for murder, but it's no DQ. So I'll win the match, and then because it's the same thing. If a guy comes down with a chainsaw, what's he gonna do? Slice the guy's arms off? I mean, okay, it's a little over the top.
In Texas, he wouldn't get arrested for murder. That's the great thing. ST is jacket, baby.
Legal carry. There you go. That's funny. Gosh. All right. I don't want to, let's not get political too much with that, but that is a funny one. Because you know the segue. You know what the segue is from that, and I'm not taking the segue. We know the segue. We will acknowledge that there is a segue, and we continue. So let's go to the next.
Dave, the one little wrinkle of that match, which could be fun, is you have maybe Terry Funk and Foley getting involved. That's the one little storyline they had to that. They gave Dean Ambrose that chainsaw and a barbed wire bat. I can't see Brock Lesnar, who's a millionaire and just loves being on his weird little farms, wanting to get stuck with barbed wire or any of that kind of crap. But I guess you never know. But you could have those old guys getting dropped on their head by Lesnar.
How are you going to have a barbed wire bat in a match where they're not allowed to bleed?
Exactly.
Wait, so there's no DQ, but you can't bleed?
No. In the real rule, this isn't like a storyline no DQ, but it's like you're not allowed to bleed. That's the real rule from the back.
Oh, I got you. Like a behind the scenes.
No blood in the matches. It's a content thing.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
I think we'll get blood in the top 3 matches because Lesnar always accidentally bleeds, quote unquote. But you can definitely see him bleeding in a few matches. And who's going to tell Brock Lesnar after the fact you can't bleed? I think Taker's going to bleed, or Shane will in that match, and then Triple H and Roman, they'll probably want to do it too. So that could be the one anomaly. They'll try to kick this up a little bit with a little blood.
Fascinating. Yeah, so, obviously they can't really enforce that thing too rigidly because it's live TV and it's pay-per-view no less. So, if there's a little trickle of blood down the head, it's not going to, they're not going to stop the show. So,
how do you see it on Raw? Show, but they can punish you saw it on Raw not too long ago with Reigns.
Right.
And they even showed the video where they showed Saxton handing Reigns the pot of blood.
Quickies and I went back and forth on the board about the fake blood.
Yeah, right.
I'm a huge anti-fake blood. Give me real blood, goddammit.
So you think there might be fake blood in effect on these matches?
There was fake blood on Raw 2 weeks ago.
Really?
You can clearly see the one guy hand the other guy a blood capsule, and then he smashes it on his head. You didn't see it on TV, but somebody shot it with an iPhone, and you clearly see it clear as day.
Oh, wow.
That is the extreme rarity, Dave, though, as far as we've ever been educated as fans.
Gotcha.
I think that's the way around, we don't want blood in the matches because we're concerned about the safety of guys, not for the content reason, and so it's fake blood.
Makes sense.
It's always been real blood, which I never knew how the Brood got all their blood. Gangrel used to dump blood on people in the middle of the ring. They must have been cutting up homeless people to get that much blood. But it was a great spot.
Those blood drives must be killer, man.
Back to Umberto's point earlier about signing up real sponsors like Snickers and big names like that. Real Blood, they're not interested in signing up for sponsorships, with Real Blood and stuff like that. So that's pretty much part of the reason why WWE wants nothing to do with bleeding. They want the money from the sponsorships and the big names out there. So that's why they're part of the reason why they're shying away from all that stuff.
Yeah, it makes that's a sensible point, because as much as we can talk about how much quote unquote violence there could be in such an event, it's still entertainment and it's still very corporate. Like WWE certainly has attitude and all that stuff, but they're definitely not going to get too divergent from the company line, so to speak. So yeah, this is all making sense to me. So word up on all. Next match, let's go to the triple threat match for the Divas Championships. Now, this is what's interesting. So you guys were telling me that or I think maybe it was John who was saying that nobody's defending a championship, or something weird happened with the Divas
match. That was the tag match, Dave.
Oh, the tag match. Oh, okay, that's earlier then. Oh, now why?
No, the League of Nations New Day match is what I was talking.
Gotcha.
The Diva match.
Are you thinking about the Divas tag match also?
Yeah, the Divas tag match. I think the one that John is referring to is the one in the pre-show, the 10 Diva tag team match. Is that it?
No, I was referring to the League of Nations New Day, where they all of a sudden announced that it was not going to be for the title.
Well, I guess that makes sense because it's all three of them. I guess that's why.
Well, it's a 4-on-3 handicap, yeah.
Oh,
but it's just weird how the title. You have they're obviously in a feud, those two teams, and it's WrestleMania, and you're not having the tag titles being defended. That's a little strange.
That is a little weird.
It is. I find these things are so arbitrary. I mean, I know that it seems arbitrary in regular sports, regular boxing, but they just decide, well, this is going to be for the title, or this is not going to be for the title, or maybe we'll just wait until Raw to do the title, or SmackDown later in the week. It's just, why do they not just have a set time for these things to be titled? Like, why are they spreading it out? And they're just so random with the designation. It's just like they feel like for whatever reason they just decide this is going to be it or it's not going to be it. It does seem odd that you would take away the most high-profile viewing audience from such a thing to try to draw them to smaller events. That's probably my outsider strange observation about that whole thing. It's like, why don't you just make them all for titles? Like, it seems like that would make the most sense, but they just keep going.
I think they are. Every match with a champion in it, the title on the line except for this one.
I got you. Okay.
Dave, that would make sense. That would make sense, but they have Al Davies as the owner, so sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
And a blind Al Davies at that. A guy who's just blind and they got to put dumbbells in his hands. God damn it, I need 35 pounds or 45. Vince is curling pink weights.
Man, oh man.
They're 55 pounds, Vince. Talk about.
Gotcha.
Dave, I think just to answer your question briefly, I've actually read some of this recently. I've been watching, to show you how full and active my life is. I've been watching old primetime wrestling on the WWE Network. And when you watch them, it's Gorilla Monsoon, and he was fantastic. He treated it like a sport. The whole premise and the whole structure of the thing was set up like sports. They would go to announcers and people at the booth, and Gorilla Monsoon was always like, "Oh, he's not going to get the winner's share tonight, Brain. He's in trouble tonight." And that was always the motivation for why you want to win a match. You want to get the winner's share and you want to move up the ranks. And now, Vince loves to have probably the total divasization of wrestling now, where it's he turns up the storyline and he hates the sports and sports entertainment. He thinks I don't know what the hell he thinks he's putting out. He's in such a weird time warp. He probably thinks he's doing Knots Landing or something. So
he's
so
doing not
being,
slanting, but at the same time, he regularly breaks the fourth wall on TV.
Oh,
and
yeah, I mean, the whole thing is just...
It doesn't make any sense.
It's probably, yeah. Well, it's probably a guy with CTE who's got, like, a rotted brain, and he's, like, maybe having some early dementia. And, like, he's, like, plotting creative for a billion-dollar company. It's like,
he's got these weird hang-ups with these words that you can't say. And, like, you can't say the word wrestle, and you can't say the word belt, and you can't say the word, I don't know, what else can't you say? And it's like, you hamstring people. They don't make any sense. People talk, you can't say those words, and now you don't make any sense because you can't say those words.
Oh, yeah, weapons.
Yeah, it's like
Steven was making a big deal out of that yesterday.
Yeah, you're right. You guys did bring that point up about how vernacular has become a big part of it now, and suddenly he's micromanaging what you can say. It's like the Masters. Like, you can't call them the gallery. You can't call it the rough.
We're going to have a match. Like, that doesn't sound really important. That's what they say now.
Yeah, you're right. A match for what?
We're going to have it.
Jax?
Like, you need a verb better than have. We're going to have a match.
Mm-hmm. I don't see the purpose
even
of that.
Even Walt Disney got shoved to the side after a while, but Vince, like, no, he's not giving up the reins, and, he's just there, man.
And now on TV, it's like, if you win the Royal Rumble, you get to main event WrestleMania. Like the focus is put on you get to be in the match, not you get to win something.
You can't say win?
You can, but that's not what they're talking about. Like, the big prize is the fact that you're main eventing. They keep saying.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, because you said they can't be belt.
You're main eventing. I mean, they call it a title, which you're fighting for the title, but they half the time they talk about the title, and half the time they talk about the most important thing is the prestige of being in the match. And that's something they're concerned about for real. But on TV, you're supposed to sell it as you're trying to win the match.
I don't follow this logic at all.
The best is they cannot call themselves wrestlers, but the biggest event in the company every year is called WrestleMania. I mean, figure out.
Yeah, so they can't say wrestle, but they have no verb to replace it. So now they just have matches.
Gosh,
Leo's pulling hard for Grapplemania. I'm hoping that comes to the fore.
Grapplemania?
No, he wants to call it
Grapplemania.
Go
you guys grappling with each other.
Gotcha. Grappling. I mean, call it Spandex Mania, Speedo Mania, Boot Mania. I don't know. Oiled Chest Mania. I'm not sure.
And the weirdest one to me is always the word belt. Like, you can't say the word belt. Like, he hit him in the head with the title. No, he hit him in the head with a belt. The title is an amorphous concept. The belt is a thing.
But I just don't. Yeah, I'm not. Has he ever explained what it means? Like, why the change in the terminology?
He gets a bug up his ass about it. It makes no sense.
Oh boy!
I've heard him say that a belt holds up your pants, and that's his explanation for it. That's why you don't say you have a belt. You have a championship. Belt holds up your pants. This doesn't hold up your pants. And it's like the ratings of man suffering from dementia.
It sounds like it.
They had a storyline a year ago. With the Intercontinental title where the people running around with the belt, somebody stole the belt from the champion. So Wade Barrett was the champion, I think, and, people were stealing the belt from him. But the people on TV couldn't talk about the belt got stolen because they can't say belt. So, and they're running a storyline about the difference between the physical belt and the title, and they still can't say belt.
Weird.
That's really weird. What do you call
Dave,
it?
I think the distinction I would draw when they used to be able to say things like belt, there was a lot more people. Vince was younger, and he had more headstrong people around him. Like, I think now he must be just packed with so many yes men. Like what a weird thing to have an idiosyncrasy about, calling it a belt. But people back then were like, well, shut the fuck up, Vince, we're calling it a belt. And, that was that. But now people walk on eggshells around the guy. And
yeah, good luck doing
that.
Good luck saying that to Vince.
Hey, Dave. So Dave, just to circle back, you started to talk about a little while ago about this triple threat match, the women's title match.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
We gotta go. Let's go back to that. Yep.
So I mean, just quickly, just to get my 2 cents in on that. Charlotte, Sasha Banks, Becky Lynch. Sasha Banks is the best wrestler by far out of all of them, but Charlotte is the daughter of Ric Flair, and I would think they want to keep the title on her just to keep Flair around and in the picture. So I'm going with Charlotte in this one, even though I think Sasha Banks is by far the best out of all of them.
Well, I got to see this. I got to see how Sasha Banks can do it. But
do you think they're going to keep the belt on Charlotte in order to have her surpass Nikki Bella's record?
Don't you mean the title?
Sorry.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh man.
It's a question. Do you think they're going to do that?
Oh, I don't know. What do you guys think?
No, I'm asking Parcells.
Oh, okay.
Do I think that they're going to keep the belt on Charlotte?
They'll keep the title on Charlotte in order for her to surpass Nikki Bella's Diva title run record amount of days.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, is that the goal? What they're trying to do every time a new woman wins the championship? They wanted to do it to AJ, and now they want to do it to. I don't know. I didn't read any of that. I hope not, but
no, neither did I. I'm just asking it out of nowhere.
Every time somebody gets a run as the longest running Divas champion, the next thing they do is leave the company. So I think they hope not.
Well,
I think the one interesting thing coming out of that.
Point. I never thought of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
One interesting thing coming out of that is that she has been vocal. So they call them divas, right? They have that shitty show on E or whatever, like with the backstage life. So like I don't know. I don't know what you guys think. Diva, is it negative or is it a positive? It seems like kind of a negative term today. Oh, she's a diva. And Charlotte has actually been like, these guys are like more shackled up than like a North Korean doing like media. They usually don't speak out of turn, but like Charlotte has been saying, like I think they should be called the women's title, which is, they're so brand obsessed, so they've really built that Divas brand. It's Divas title, and she's been saying, let's call it the women's title. And I think it's kind of strange that you're supposed to. They're so PR conscious, but yet they call their title, not the belt, the Divas title.
But I think there's such a discrepancy. There's just a discrepancy because they all came up from NXT. Charlotte and Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, they all had the title on them at NXT, and in NXT, it's called the Women's Championship. There's no use of the word divas down in NXT. So when all these women come up to WWE, they're used to being called, the Women's Champion, not the Divas title holder or whatever nonsense they call it. So I can certainly see her point on that, because that's kind of how they're schooled, and it just shows the inconsistency, and that's such a larger issue here, between NXT and WWE. I mean, they're just not on the same page with a lot of stuff.
The title itself looks horrific. I mean, it looks like something you buy for $3 at Toys R Us. I mean, have you seen that thing? It looks so bad. Like,
and it's not the worst one. It's the worst one though. Is the tag titles.
They're like a mirror you buy on the board.
Right. Is that the one that looks like the Roman helmets? Yeah,
the Roman helmets. Yes.
That one's
worse.
That one's worse. Yeah.
The Divas belt looks like a mirror you buy on the beach in Seaside, like on the boardwalk. Like some shit in that mirror with their name like stenciled on it. Like instead of Divas Championship, you just say Stacy with an eye.
They don't call them Divas. What are they going to call them? Because they can't call them wrestlers. It's a word they can't say.
Yeah, I mean that Divas title belt. I mean, it almost looks like something they would hand out at the AVN Awards. I mean, it's piece of junk.
And that's what the diva thing was about. Like back in the Attitude Era, that's what they were. They were,
Right.
something to look at. Now they're back to actually wrestling.
Fascinating, but
I think they'll go with. I think you go with Vince's Angels.
Well, it's funny that you talk about how I didn't even know about an NXT, but I think I vaguely remember there being one, and the idea that they can acknowledge them as women and they are wrestling as women, and this is a women's championship. It sounds more progressive to me than WWE. That kind of, as we've already speculated, the organization is stuck in its ways. I'm not even going to ask the question, would they consider changing the title to a women's title, a women's championship, or a ladies' championship even, meet you halfway. But I do find that interesting, like just how much more with it seems like NXT was with the formatting and the... And by the way, I'm looking at this thing. What? There's a butterfly in the middle of this thing? I mean, this is insulting.
Yeah.
What the hell?
A pink butterfly.
Yeah. Oh, man. Man, oh, man. If anybody ever takes this thing over, there are going to be some serious changes. Jeez.
I think you have to have like sparkles on it too, right?
What was that?
Damn it, I want a butterfly that looks like a vagina. I don't care what you got, Paul.
That's pretty wacky.
By the way, just along another thing on this match, and it's not specifically the match, but what's been going on. Like, what is the point of Ric Flair now? It's just, I don't know. He gets drunk and say, "Go out there, walk your daughter down the aisle." I mean, does he get any reaction at all from anybody at this point? It's so pointless that he's out there.
Yeah, and that's another no-no, and it probably should be a no-no, but he can't interfere in the matches because he's a man and they're women, and he can't punch women or hit women on TV, and I'm fine with that rule, but given that that's a rule, what is he doing there?
Exactly.
Well, they put the shackles on him. I actually heard recently. I can't think of the exact line because it was killer, but it was. So he used to be able to speak. Like, they don't let him speak on the mic anymore. Like, they give him scripts, and they barely even do that.
Yeah.
Now. I think he said he doesn't want to overshadow Charlotte.
They don't know what he's going to say because they're afraid. Because he drinks or whatever. They're fearful of what he would say on a live mic.
Well, the last thing he said without being scripted was they had a bunch of sponsors there. They were in New York or L.A. He's cutting a promo guy in the ring, and he said, "I've made more virgins bleed than you've ever." Something about virgins bleeding in the ring, and it was like. And Vince wanted to fire him on the spot.
Wow.
I got to find the damn line, though. It was funny as hell.
I'll see if I can find it. So you have most. So I think most people who've commented already say Charlotte's going to win the thing. Would you agree with that? I suppose. I'm just killing time while I look for this line.
Dave, I don't think you want that line in your browser history. Don't look for it.
Don't look for it.
Yeah.
I don't think you want that in your...
Delete. I will not.
Dave, I'm just rooting for a nipple slip in that match. That's
there you go.
thing.
Real nipples or fake nipples? Real breasts or fake? We'll find out. Good stuff. And when there is a nipple slip, what do they call them? Are they going to call them points because they can't use the word nipple on the program? Never mind.
They got to come up with something they can trademark.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. They call them titles. I don't know. Anyway, next up, 4-on-3 handicap match. Now, see, with all this stuff, how you can't say belt and you can't say wrestling, they will allow the word handicap somehow. You figure that one out. But anyway.
No, it got switched from retard match to being more progressive.
All right, one step in the right direction. Well, the big...
Yeah. It's a 4-on-3 differently abled match.
Oh, yeah.
King, we got a pole match tonight.
That's nuts. So let's find out who's in this thing. Let's see. The New Day. You guys were talking about that again. Big E, Kofi Kingston. I didn't know he was still in the league. In Xavier Woods versus the League of Nations. Sheamus, Alberto Del Rio, Rusev, and King Barrett. And I have not heard from Rusev in a little while. So, well, I'm not even going to try on this one. Who do you think is going to be the favorite? Let's go to the tape. Get the odds on these groups. You would think that the group of 4 would be favored, right? Let's see. Tag Team Supremacy. Yes, New Day with the... Wait a minute. The threesome's actually giving more than the League of Nations is. So New Day with 3 people is giving 160. League of Nations with 4 people is getting 120. Who would like to break down the odds here as to why a 4-man group would be losing out to a 3-man group? I wouldn't even know where to begin with that. So let's go to who have I not spoken to in a while. Let's go to John. John, do you agree with those odds? And who would you favor in this match?
Well, the odds I agree with, and I say that because, the New Day is extremely over. We were talking about earlier how there's nobody over right now. Well, they're one of the few groups that are over. They were over as heels, then they recently went face that's another thing. Like all of a sudden they were buddy with League of Nations for a while, and then all of a sudden one day they start hating them for really no reason. So then that made them face because the League of Nations are clearly heels. New Day's had the titles for a while. They have not. No one seems to challenge them at all. This is the one group that you would think may have a legit chance of taking the titles from them, and of course they're not defending them at WrestleMania. So I think it's probably an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go with the League of Nations. I don't feel confident about it, but the reasoning is because I think if you're going to have a team that is going to be a legitimate threat to one day beat New Day and to take the belts, you may want to have New Day lose a match like this so it looks like it's feasible that they actually may have a legitimate competition. So that's why I'll say League of Nations, but I'm not that confident.
Okay, so you have League of Nations for the minor upset. Let's go to Parcells. Who do you favor in this tag team handicap match?
I'm going to go with agree with John and go with League of Nations just because there are no titles on the line, and like he said, New Day is over. And that's really all I got on it. The League of Nations, I kind of tuned them out right away. I mean, there's a handful of guys who are single wrestlers who they just ran out of storyline for, and they just kind of put them together. And the only thing they're missing Big Show and Ryback, and just guys that they don't know what to do with. So, I kind of tune them out. But John's point made complete sense on that. So I think because New Day is over, I think they'll want to give a win to League of Nations.
Okay, that's the word from Parcells. Let's go to Ari in Philadelphia. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with both those guys, John and Parcells. I think the reason you don't put the title on the line is if you want the champ to lose, but you don't want to take the title off them. So I think because it's a non-title match, I think that the League of Nations wins.
All right, now let's go to Umberto's for his thoughts on the tag team match.
Yeah, I mean, I have to echo their thoughts too. The reason that it's not a title match is because they're probably going to make the New Day lose, and they won't lose the title. So that sounds about right.
Okay, and
I forget.
Oh, good.
I'm sorry. I forget who had the point about them not having much to do, so they just combined them together. That's exactly what they did to them. They really had all 4 of them of the League of Nations guys didn't have nothing to do on the show, so they just put them mishmashed them together and just made them a group. That seems exactly what they did.
Seems like a classic WWE move to just like put a bunch of guys together where they don't have any idea what to do.
Let me just say one thing on that. You know what's interesting about the League of Nations when they formed? When they formed, Sheamus had the world title. Del Rio had come off of beating Cena out of nowhere for the U.S. title. So they formed this group combining these guys that have just won titles and are kind of, rocking and rolling at the top of their game. And the second they form the group, they decide to job them immediately for about 2 months.
Jeez.
It's like, it makes no sense. So individually, they're strong. They're title holders. They could, take on anybody. But together, they're they can't do anything right. And then now they've built them up the last month or so. But it was just so weird how that happened.
For clarification for our audience, the concept of jobbers, are they basically like punching bags that they throw in, fully intending them to lose? Is that the basic idea?
Yeah, that's the basic idea of what it is. It's like you know, as Mike would say, the match was over before it started. You know who's going to win the match the second. Like Zack Ryder would be a good example of what would be a jobber, although the last week they've been pushing him a little bit. But yeah, the second you see the guy in the match, you pretty much know he's going to lose.
I agree with John, Dave. I'm surprised these guys are all on League of Nations bandwagon. If I had to bet $1,000 on any match, I would bet it on New Day over these fucking 4 humps. I mean, these guys are all... That Rusev is okay. He's actually the guy that'll probably be okay out of this. But I mean, the other 3 jerk-offs look like they should be fucking, I don't know what, like some kind of like country club like fitness instructor. Like they have no goddamn charisma. I mean, they're jacked as all hell. Like God bless them, but like they just suck. I mean, there's no way they're winning. Anything's possible, but yeah, I would, I would bet on the New Day here. And just one other thing to look out for: some of the, some of the scuttlebutt is this is where you might see Rock to even up the 4-on-3 odds. Supposedly Rock really likes them or something. Or they're really supposed to push the New Day. So I can't see any way they lose. Stupid copper titles on the line or not.
Damn.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that actually makes sense. Because they kept advertising The Rock being at WrestleMania, but like I haven't seen him like say anything about it. So I guess it's like a surprise or something. Because they keep advertising,
there with Roman Reigns, but
Yeah, I'm hoping he has something to do with the Reigns turn if he turns.
Yeah.
What would his contribution be to Roman Reigns' turn? Because
Roman Reigns and him are cousins.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like in real life, so
they're actually related.
That's his connection.
Got you. Okay, that makes sense.
I'm gonna take a contrarian view on that. I do not think Reigns is gonna turn heel. What I think is gonna happen is I'll go with the predictability of it. I don't see Triple H keeping the title. I see Reigns taking it, and then Rollins coming back shortly to feud with Reigns going forward. That's just a prediction.
Yeah,
now though?
Huh?
I actually completely agree with Josh. I think they're just gonna go like to the plan of like Reigns winning because again, he's Al Davis. Al Davis drafted Darius Hayward-Bay, and like nobody wanted Darius Hayward-Bay, and this is exactly it. Everybody told him to not draft him, but he still did. And this sounds exactly like what's happening now. So they're just going full steam ahead with like Reigns winning the title and the show with that. And I think that's pretty much about it.
Well, what does that make me? I drafted Darius Bay 5 times. What do you guys think will go on last?
Good question. Let me circle to that in a little bit. There are 2 more matches.
Sorry, I didn't know you had that on your list. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a couple more of these. So let's see. Does anybody care about breaking down the ladder match? Intercontinental?
That could be a really good match.
Okay, let me run this down.
They'll probably open the show with it, which this is exactly what they did last year, right?
Got you. All right, so the match is Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn versus Dolph Ziggler versus Zack Ryder versus Sin Cara. That means no face in Spanish.
Yes,
but...
he wears a mask.
Anyway, versus The Miz versus Stardust. These mysterious faces will be going against each other for the ladder match for the Intercontinental. So, I think it's Zayn who has the best odds, or maybe Kevin Owens does, at 1-2, which is, that's actually less than 1-1 odds. So, he's getting a lot in that one. So, Zayn is second, Ziggler is 9-1, blah, 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 blah.
Wait, what's no faces odds?
No faces odds are 25-1. 25.
What is? I want to know Zack Ryder's odds.
33-1, which is the worst on the board.
He's the Long Island.
I would bet Zach all the way.
Long Island Iced Z, all the way.
I'm not even joking. I got the funny. This goddamn show sucks so much that it's going to be so devoid of feel-good moments. I think that's the one feel-good moment they get hit. Because I think Charlotte will win the Divas match, but the crowd that goes to WrestleMania, they'll be into Zack Ryder winning that match. They would go absolutely ape shit. It would
I
be
think
one
they'd
of the
be more into Sami Zayn winning it.
Yeah,
but Sami Zayn sucks. He just dresses. Sami Zayn dresses like a guy who goes to a harness track.
I think
don't know what the hell he's doing.
anything that comes out of NXT, this crowd is going to like. I think.
Well, I think the next night for sure, because you have the 20,000 hardcores who flew in. But the big show, they haven't gotten Sami Zayn over on the main roster as much. It's you're gonna have a lot of you're gonna have 60,000 shit kickers filling the other seats, just guys from Texas that want to see John Cena. And what is Sami Zayn's gimmick? Like I said, he dresses like the guy in the mush smiley on the board. He's got one of those massive.
Well, I will say this.
Give me a robe or something. Why doesn't anyone know anymore? This guy looks like a hipster. What the hell is his gimmick?
I will say this, though. The ladder match is the perfect match to have someone like that win because people that don't really know, the non-hardcore people, are just going to be entertained by 7 guys doing spots off the ropes and off ladders for a half an hour that whoever wins, I think they'll cheer because they'll like the match.
I can see that for sure.
Good deal. Parcells, anything from you on the ladder match?
Yeah, I think Owens retains because I think he's clearly the most over, and he's probably, outside of Stephanie or Triple H, is probably right now the best heel on the roster. And this is where, this match, they just threw this match together like 2 weeks ago, and this was set up perfectly. The whole backstory on Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn from NXT, they're huge rivals. They were best friends, and Owens turned on Zayn. A lot of fans kind of know this coming into them both being on the main roster now, and it was set up, and they were going in the direction of setting up a one-on-one match, like Sami Zayn's revenge to get back at Owens, one-on-one for the title, and then all of a sudden, 2 weeks ago, they throw 5 guys, 3 or 4 of which have nothing to do with Owens, like Sin Cara and Stardust, and Zack Ryder they pulled off of the scrap heap in NXT, to be in this match. So that's kind of where the writing has gone to shit in this company. It turns from a potentially great wrestling match into a mismatch of potential horse shit. It's going to be, a 7-man ladder match, and they got a lot of good wrestlers in this, granted. But just from a story perspective, half of these guys don't have anything to do with one another. But getting back to, I think Owens retains because he's one of the best heels on the roster right now. Okay,
good deal. So.
You know what's so weird to that point? It's Vince is such a hard ass or whatever, and reach the brass ring and all this crap. And, like, Parcells is exactly right. They just stick all these fucking idiots, like, on the card that, like, no one cares about. It's like, who the hell wants to see Stardust? Like, I mean, I love posting the GIF of him, but, I mean, you know, the guy just has been irrelevant for so long. Like, but it's almost like the guys, they want to be nice. It's like, well, we want to get you on the card or get you a payday or whatever. And it's like, you know, I think there should be no more than like one multi-person match a card, myself personally, you know, because then you lose, you know, you totally lose the value of them. Like, you know, it doesn't get over to the fans. Like, well, when I see a multi-person match on a card, I say, well, here's all the guys that kind of suck. You know, they're just sticking them. They're here just to be here, you know, and it's like, you know. Like they've done the multi-person ladder match. I mean, it's got to be going on like 10 years, right? Between Money in the Banks and all that stuff. You know, so it's like,
well, I mean, here are guys who have no story.
The sadder thing is they also had the Andre the Giant Battle Royal for the other shitheads that have no story. So, like, they have
and they got
2 matches.
Well, what about the damn New Day match, too? It's an 8-man or 7-man tag. It's like, hey, here's your WrestleMania shot, Wade Barrett. Like,
and then the women's match, right? There's the 3 people in the one women's match and 10 in the other one.
Oh, it's crazy.
Hey, Dave, I just want to illustrate this for you because you don't follow it. But I just want to follow up what Parcells said. Zack Ryder. Now, this guy, I think, has been on Raw, I don't know, would you say 3 or 4 times in the last 8 months? Something like that.
Wow.
And literally, he's now in a title match at WrestleMania, no less.
And he pinned the champion this week.
Yeah, exactly. No, he pinned Jericho this week. Yeah. This is like, you know, that's what we're talking about here, Dave. A guy that's probably been on TV.
And John, never mind 8 months. I think he's literally been on 7 or less than 10 times the last like 4 years.
Right. Exactly.
Zack Ryder was buried on the NXT roster.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. They sent him down to NXT and put him in a tag team.
Yeah.
Jeez.
He must be blowing Pat Patterson. I think that was his road to stop.
Who was his tag partner?
They put him in a tag team with Mojo Rawley.
Mojo Rawley, Rob Gronkowski's best friend.
Really?
Yeah, they're buds. Yeah, Gronk would show up at NXT and be sitting in front row.
Wow, I never heard that. That's cool.
I didn't know that either.
Good stuff. Pretty neat thing. Just a quick comment on the tag team matches. I mean, the way you all have described it, basically, my interpretation is a tag team match is like doubles tennis, where it's like, you know, they put it on in the middle of the afternoon, and they don't even televise it. Just kind of people are just kind of just there. Just something for people to do. We get some old guys that have been a little long in the tooth and gives them a role. That's sort of my feeling.
Dave, it's like seniors mixed doubles tennis.
That's even better.
I think that's more a function of that Vince doesn't like tag teams. I think tag teams can be really good because you don't have to rest because you just tag the other guy in, so you don't have to sit there and slap on a chin lock to catch your breath like you do in a singles match. So, I mean, tag team wrestling can be really good. It's just they don't put any of the good wrestlers in the tag teams.
Well, that is true.
It's like when FAN puts Malusis and Kim Jones together. It's right out of that playbook.
It's slightly better than Malusis by himself.
Oh, I heard that. That's no good.
Dave, basically, the League of Nations is Tiki, Brandon, and Dana.
So what would that make the New Day?
Ivy and Dweck?
Okay. We'll take that.
Sports on wax.
Sports on wax. Too funny. All right, so there's only one match to remain, but I only one match to break down here, and I don't even know where this is in terms of relevancy, but it says here singles match. For what? For anything? But this is from between...
It should be Ryback and...
are you talking Jericho?
Yeah, it's AJ Styles and Chris Jericho will be getting together for what they call a singles match.
We also have to do the U.S. match, Dave. Not that anyone cares, but we also haven't talked about that one yet.
Yeah, all right. We'll throw that in there since that's part of the pre-show. Kalisto versus
I beg your
Ryback.
pardon. Harrison Francesa cares.
All right. That's funny.
Yeah. After that match, he's going to turn it off. That's all I want to watch.
Too funny. Okay. Well, if you
Mike's
want to
going to sit during WrestleMania and tell his kid about Argentina Paulo Rocca. I go back to Bobo Brazil, okay? These guys are nothing.
Thanks, Calhoun.
When it was a game, when it was a real sport. Something like that. Oh, man. Do you think that wrestling, seeing that where we are, where there's basically nothing going on in this WrestleMania for the most part, I mean, and the storylines could have been improved and they weren't, and things are just kind of spread out, and any kind of juice seems like it's. I mean, you guys have basically said that there's not a lot of juice this year. Could there be a drawback here due to the fact that WWE doesn't have competition in the last, 5-6 years?
When you say drawback, are you talking lack of interest or?
No. When I say lack of competition, I mean there used to be WCW, there used to be TNA. I don't know if TNA is still around, but they used to have other guys, like they used to have other leagues that would compete with them, and when you own everything, sometimes it can lead to this kind of a rut. So I was curious as to whether you think that this is part of the problem with the lack of creativity lately.
I think the injuries for this specific show is a big reason why. I mean, the stuff you're talking about has been going on for a long time.
This is correct. We're talking like 10 years now. That's a good point.
Yeah, so that is what it is at this point. But I think the problem with this specific show is just that so many of the top guys are hurt.
Okay, and you're right. I mean, you just mentioned a few of them, and it is very different. And guys are getting hurt, and guys are retiring because they are hurt, as you mentioned with Daniel Bryan. So it's just a much different complexion. It would be no different in any other sport or event.
But Dave, just to add to that, and I agree with John about the injury part, but also when these guys were healthy, a lot of the writing was shit when these guys were healthy. And it all begins and ends with Vince. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are other wrestling promotions out there. I mean, even in his own company, NXT, which is 180 degrees from what they do with the quality writing, and because Triple H runs that, and he runs it as a wrestling promotion and not as a variety television show, it gives a lot of the fans what they want. And not to get into the other stuff that's out there, like Lucha Underground, which does a great job, but that's written as wrestling and not as a TV show. So, there's a real disconnect there with what Vince is doing and the product that he's putting out, as opposed to some of the other stuff that's out there. So I think I said it earlier, change is only going to happen here when Vince is gone.
Yeah.
When Triple H takes over, and hopefully he does the same thing he's doing with NXT.
Well, it's good to know that there is an alternative, though, even if it's a subset of what we have now. So I was not even keen on the NXT until this year. So it's an interesting subtext. All right, I think that's it. I think that's pretty much it for the preview. But I have all you guys here. We got to talk about tomorrow's Mike and the Mad Dog reunion. This is a huge event, and I'm very surprised, but pleasantly so, that they sold out. I'm assuming they sold out. They sold out Radio City Music Hall. Do you know how many people are in Radio City Music Hall? 6,000 people can fit inside of there. That is enormous. Just imagine half a basketball arena can watch these two guys sit on a couch and talk. And I just think we've really come a long way, guys. I mean, this is truly amazing. So I'm excited about tomorrow. I'm probably not going to get to tune into much of it, but I'm sure many of you will. So your observations about Mike and the Mad Dog getting together for a good 3-hour show tomorrow. And I think we'll start with I don't know. We'll start with Umberto's. What do you make of this incredible event?
Oh, no, it's great. I just wish it had some better guests. Or, I don't know, maybe they'll have more secret guests, but the ones that were announced are, like, kind of a bore. I mean, we've heard them, like, so many times already. Like,
That's what I was thinking.
Who the hell wants to listen to Mark Messier talk about 94 again? It's just like, all right, Mark. Like, whatever. I mean, you're the leader and all that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I think we heard his story like a million times, so. But, yeah, like, I'm excited to hear it. Sure, why not?
You know, I will mirror a point that Tommy made weeks ago on this program. He is worried about them over-guesting. They don't want to we don't want to hear Tori for, like, 30 minutes. Nobody wants to hear Tori for 30 minutes with anybody. But he's boring, man. He stinks. He's a stinky interview. But anyway, we want to hear more of them. Like this is the magic that really got us all here. Why we're together.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I would want like if it was like 3 hours of like Mike talking about movies and stuff. Like I don't want that. I want like
once they decided to put the thing on the air and it wasn't just a show at Radio City, but now it's on the radio and on TV. Get a phone in there and take phone calls. That's what they do best. Just do it.
That'd be fun. I'd do that.
Yeah,
I agree with
not enough bingos for that.
Yeah, that's a huge bingo.
I want 1 hour of Cashman followed by 1 hour of Alderson, followed by 1 hour of Fat Man Scoop.
Fat Man Scoop.
Yeah.
I want a textbook Mike Remote disaster. I hope Brian Monzo had a huge hand in putting this shit together. And you have to root for the train wreck effect. So if this thing comes off totally smooth, it's gonna be nowhere near as fun as if the fucking lights are falling out of the fucking stage and Tom Coughlin's getting laid out and the microphones aren't working.
That could be a lot of juice, a lot of potential. A new gym scenario would be fun. Absolutely.
I'm hoping we get the ratings game. You figure they'll do something like that, some kind of ratings scenario. That's usually what people clamor for.
It would really be fun if they revisited some of those features, like the ratings, which was New York, what's the New York rating, what's the national rating for the Final Four, because that's tomorrow. Okay, so yeah, they could talk about that. They could talk about the Elite Eight ratings. Well, you know, Mikey, this thing about putting it on in the middle of the night and putting it on at night. I mean, Timmy needs to go to bed on Easter Sunday, Michael. You know, something like that. It would be a lot of fun to talk about.
Do you guys think a third seat will be set up for Mark Mongo?
You better get that thing in time from EPS. That's all I'm saying. Oh man!
It would have been killer if we just sent like a kamikaze guy into the mission to like start a fight with Mark Mongo and they both get tossed.
We should get that soy bomb guy from the Grammys 20 years ago. Put him on the stage when Mark Mongo's on there. Good times. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was that you, Parcells? I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
Oh, never mind. Okay, so this is going to be a good time. I mean, I know that probably, I don't know if any of you are going to the show. Are any of you going to be in attendance?
No, I am not. I was offered tickets and I actually turned it down. I wouldn't miss it with the board for the world. Like I said, I'm just rooting for it to be a 70% shit show and 30% great.
Yeah, I mean, if it goes smoothly, like, what fun is that? It's got to be,
Oh, I agree.
Hopefully we get a slippery slope.
Yeah.
I like the idea of taking calls, too, like having old Mongo in the air talk about the 1908 World Series and pining on how they used to bring... Yeah, that would be fun. Like, we would see some jokers really take the phone lines. That's a very good idea.
Michael, a lot of people don't agree with Trump with these comments about the Muslims, but I think he's absolutely right. Something that's going to ruin their career, so that's probably good.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, they've said some pretty rough stuff already. I'm kind of surprised they haven't been tagged yet. But that's such is life. But it would
Let's hope it goes up tomorrow in smoke.
Oh, imagine that. Oh, guys would just be up. Oh gosh, in front of 6,000 people, being having something go wrong, and Mike would be yelling, "Turn my mic on," or something like that. Anyway,
I think right now Craig Carton's arranging a crew like the Joker had in The Dark Knight to come steal Raid. It's gonna be like that Chechnyan theater siege from a few years ago.
No, I like this. This has a lot of potential to go wrong, which is going to be great. By the way, Quicks, great move by you. That's the best way to do it. Like, you're just going into theater, it'd be all right. But, I mean, why pay all that money when you could be soaking it in and seeing all the comments by all of us about the show? I mean, I remember when we had the 12-12-12 concert and the thread that night was unbelievable. So.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Good
that was
times.
great. The whole day should be good tomorrow. If they got Mike and the Mad Dog the replay for like 8 hours. It's like I heard those fucking Mongos calling in today though. I was furious. And they're like, I'm like, you gonna play the clip of Dog going crazy and when the Giants won? It's like everything that's on YouTube. These assholes want to hear WFAN play. So. I hope they go really deep in the vault. Like I want to hear '90s weirdness out of these guys. Like I don't want to hear shit on YouTube.
That's what all these guys do. I've noticed this on every station I listen to ever. The people always vote for the popular shit. Like it's always the same boring stuff we've heard before. It's like we've heard this already. Like I want to hear like what they were doing about the time of the Jeffrey Mayer incident. I don't remember that. I never heard that before. So. Like, that would be fun to revisit if it hasn't been... Is that on YouTube? I don't even know, but...
I think that one is.
Oh, it is?
Stuff like...
Okay.
I'd love to hear, like, when they announced on the air that Magic Johnson had 8. Like, I remember that was just, like, a crazy, like, bizarre, weird day.
Oh,
and,
weird.
Like, they were on the air for, like, some of the OJ stuff, too. Like,
yeah,
that's
what I was going to say. They're breaking down the OJ trial. Yeah, we need to hear some of that, especially it's topical now again.
Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a pretty good idea. And it would really fit in. It would be fitting. Perfectly timed. No question.
Is Howell gonna call in and ask about the loyalty audio?
Okay, yeah. He'll just brush that off.
Is that only one guy that does that, John? There's only one caller that wants to hear about that?
No, I didn't even know. I said Howell because remember when he used to post about it? I don't even know who would call about it.
Howell.
Yeah, he would post it about the missing loyalty.
I thought you meant Hal Steinbrenner.
Hal Steinbrenner.
Oh,
H-O-W-L. Knows the stock market. That's who I depend on.
Wall Street, right? The man who invented Wall Street.
No.
I heard that live, and I can still pretty well hear it in my head, but I would love to hear a tape of that again, man. I mean, it was fucking unbelievable what those guys are saying when I'm here.
I mean, it seems if it's accurate, and I'm guessing it is. You guys know the station like the back of your hand. I mean, if that really happened, I mean it's unforgivable. Like I just can't even imagine that being defended.
But
it
here
was.
He is.
I remember
15 years later, he's still on the air.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah.
But this is what's so funny. If that happened, you know what? Honestly, I'm going to say this. This is kind of out of left field, but if they did that today, I still think they would have somehow survived it for whatever reason. Even with Twitter and Instagram and everything, somehow I feel like these guys would have somehow evaded the axe from that. Believe it or not, but you would not think they would. But it's kind of funny, like how that would have been today if that comment was done with all the Twitter snarks everywhere. But I somehow think they managed that fine. They would manage that fine. You know why I think that? Because I remember when Mike was getting into it with the Daniel Murphy thing, and man, he was saying some rough stuff. I remember.
Yeah.
He made it through that, and that surprised me. No suspension, nothing. Like I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think that was well before anyone was making Mike YouTube stuff. Or before anyone was making YouTube. So I think that audio would have hung them. It's like the Ray Rice thing. You see it, it's one thing, and you read about it, it's something else. But that audio is going to come out someday, though. Some fucking intern's going to find that.
I don't know. I mean, if somebody had it, we'd have heard it by now, right?
Yeah, you would think. You would think it would already have been out.
I can't imagine that anybody would even have been recording WFAN that day. I'm actually rather surprised they even did a show that day. It was not a good time.
Well, I mean, they got to be on the air with something.
Well, it's interesting to think about that because out
Well,
here...
remember, Mike knew the cop that let him through. Remember that. Of course he did. Of course he did.
That's funny.
Yeah, but it wasn't on 9/11 because, listen, Dog didn't make it in for 9/11, okay? I was there. Dog was not.
They shouldn't have done a show, though. I mean, nobody in L.A. did shows for a week. This is L.A.
Well, somebody was on the air in L.A. They were doing something, right? What were they doing?
I think they were just repeating. I think everybody was just simulcasting news stations that week. And they were just doing coverage. There was no actual show for about a week. That was how I remembered it.
Hey, Mike and Chris, long time, first time. Thoughts and prayers for the survivors. Hey, when the Yankees get back, do you think they're going to get some kind of middle relief help?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of like the JFK thing. Like, they just played on after that. And I'm like, wow. They played on the NFL games after an assassination. But I guess, I mean, you're probably right, Ari.
Here's a little 9/11 trivia for you. What was the first public gathering in America in an arena after 9/11?
Ooh, good question.
Yeah, I know this answer.
I think I know this one too.
Billy Joel concert? What was it?
It was
it's topical, Dave. It's topical.
Oh, really? A WWE event?
Yep. It was a SmackDown show, I think.
Get out. How about that?
Yes, it was.
So it beat out the George W. Bush, the first pitch, and it was way later. The Mike Piazza home run, like it beat all those guys to the punch.
Yeah, they were. It was like September 14th or something.
Gee, wow!
Right? Yeah. They led the way.
Look at that.
Think about how embarrassing that is in hindsight, though. So, like they were the first thing to come back after 9/11.
And
a show with half-naked men.
That's funny. It's amazing how the world has changed, though, in 15 years.
September 13th. 2 days later, they did it.
Look at that. 2 days later. I mean, as from my understanding, I think Manhattan was still surrounded by rubble at that point. So that's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't in.
Where was it?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It was in Texas, I think. San
Oh,
Antonio.
it wasn't in Madison Square Garden. Okay.
No, it was the first thing in America.
Oh, in America. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, now that makes more sense. I thought it was in New York. I'm like, that I would not have been able to comprehend that. But in America, I could. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was in Houston. I'm looking at it now.
Gotcha. I mean, but that of all of my entire life, and you guys, some of you guys are older than me, some of you are younger. Well, maybe nobody's younger. Well, I think somebody's younger here in this group, but we're about the same age, and it definitely was the only time I can remember the world truly stopping that week, and it was a really sad time. So it surprises me that anybody would be willing to do a show at all.
I mean, the role of talk radio, though, is to, people want to vent and they want to talk about it.
That is true.
So
that is true.
It's an outlet for that.
It's a fair point, and people were certainly not on the topic of sports at that point in time. So I can imagine that was really what happened, and a lot of shows did basically suspend talking about sports or entertainment or anything, and we were pretty much talking about what was happening. So. It was definitely a snapshot in time, no question. One other incident from Mac and the Mad Dog that I can't believe they didn't get fired for, because I have said lesser things and he did get fired for it. The Sean Taylor thing. The Sean Taylor comments. That one, I'm a little surprised. Did they get retribution for that at all? Do you guys remember? Was there something on them, or was there? They were? Okay, so they did get suspended. Okay.
No, they didn't get suspended. No, I mean, I just remember the incident.
Oh, yeah. It was. I mean, this is probably just their own ignorance. I don't think it was anything deliberate, but it was pretty rough. Pretty rough, because you know what happened. He didn't end up doing it, and then it was kind of like the Duke lacrosse thing. A lot of people looked like horses' asses after the fact. So, I mean, Hurd was no different. Colin Cowherd was equally as bad with that whole thing, jumping to conclusions. So it's amazing, this kind of stuff, if it happened today, I wonder how much worse the backlash would be. But I'm glad that they're still going. Mike and the Mad Dog being together again. The idea that they can get together from time to time, believe it or not, that's a big get. You know, I'm gonna tell you this because a lot of duos who have been together for a really long time, the day that they stop their show, they never talk to each other again. There is a group that out here in LA called Loman and Barkley. They stopped doing the show, never spoke a word to each other ever. The rest of their lives.
Real quick, who's on Eddie C's phone in this group? You guys hearing that?
No, I hear it.
I don't. That you quit.
I don't know.
I don't know. But it's just a great tribute. Like I think it's cool that they would get together every now and again, and they had a reunion like a couple years ago for like 10 minutes on the program. Then they reunited again this year in March to announce this show tomorrow, which is today if you're listening to it on podcast. I just think it's really great that they seem to be good enough friends to be able to make it work every now and again. And they were at FrancescaCon 2. I imagine you guys saw that clip. And it really does seem like, you know, it did seem like they had the magic begin, didn't it? It didn't seem to take much. That's it? Okay. I was wondering if
those two are just not the same apart like they are together. It's chemistry.
It's really true. It's amazing how different it is. Like how much more energy both guys have. Because people were saying it's just Mike. It's really not. Like if you ever listen to the Dog solo show, and Ari, I'm sure you've heard plenty of it on Sirius, it's not the same. It's like you definitely feel like something's missing. Okay.
Yeah, they bounce off each other, and you know they provide what the other one lacks.
It's true. It's very true. All right, so let's just go ahead and wrap this up then. Any final thoughts you had about WrestleMania or anything else? It's getting pretty late, so we'll just go ahead and put the cappers on it. We will begin with the Parcells. If you're with us, Parcells, anything you're looking forward to this weekend from WWE, or even like Raw next week, or whatever's going on the rest of the way with I guess I can't say wrestling, but whatever it is.
Looking forward to anything. Well, certainly looking to I'm looking forward to the spectacle of WrestleMania. You know, I always enjoy it. You know, whether a Super Bowl game is good, this is the Super Bowl every year. And so you just look forward to it, and you know, hope they give you something exciting, whether it's Shane McMahon jumping off the top of the cage or a swerve in the championship match, something that's enjoyable. For the entire weekend, I'm looking forward to the NXT card on Friday night, and a couple good matches there, which would be another hour if we kept going on. But also, the Monday Night Raw, which always has some surprises. So those two things, the NXT and the following Monday night.
That's good. Bertles, what are you most looking forward to from this weekend?
I think I'm looking more forward to Mike and Dog than WrestleMania.
I'm excited to see what the reaction will be, and it'll be live on Twitter, it'll be live on the board, it'll be live on Facebook too. It should be fun. Okay, Quick Man. Quicks, hello? Did we lose him?
Maybe that was.
He was on Eddie's phone.
Yeah, maybe that was.
Yep. I think we just you answered the question right there. All right.
It's sad that we know what Eddie Coleman's phone is. If you say that to anyone else, first of all, they won't even know who the hell Eddie Coleman is. But an actual Eddie Coleman phone, what does that even mean?
Oh man, good times.
Sorry, Bert. I had administrative duties to take care of over here.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Taking care of business. Taking care of business.
What's the question on WrestleMania outlook?
Well, WrestleMania weekend, Dog Mike outlook, sure.
Dog Mike outlook, like I said, just I'm looking forward to it. I'm certainly want to see how they pull it off. They're always what's interesting to me is they've always functioned best as kind of like background noise, or it's kind of surreal to say I'm going to Radio City to watch them talk for 3 hours.
That's what I was thinking too.
I don't know how that's going to translate. Whenever they, and I always hated the show, like you said, too many guests are spoil the broth. But so I agree. I wish they had phone calls. But for what it is, having them together, fantastic chemistry. Looking forward to that. WrestleMania. I'm looking for on Friday. They have the next show with Nakamura. That's what I'm dying to see. The Japanese wrestler. We didn't even touch on that, but that's kind of the big thing. You're just hoping, hoping for some crazy angle or something to save WrestleMania. Because right now it looks like the drizzle and shit. But
Indeed.
It is what it is.
Thinking ship.
Indeed.
Let's see. Up to now, who? John? Okay, John. What are you looking most forward to these next few days?
I mean, I watch this stuff every week, and a lot of it's bad. So I'll find. I will like WrestleMania just because I put myself through this stuff anyway. But the writing's bad. I totally agree with everyone. But I think some of those matches can be good, and I think at the end of the day, there will be some good matches, and it'll be an overall entertaining show. You may scratch your head, but it'll be entertaining. And I think I'm looking forward to the Raw afterwards too, like Parcells, because there's usually something that happens there that you don't expect.
Yeah, that's a good point by Parcells about those surprises, and you can be good for that. I've seen some of them on the board. Like I would see guys posting about surprises on Raw, so that's pretty good. Anyone I missed? Did I cover everyone? I had Parcells. We had everyone. I think Quicks, Bertz, John.
You missed Ari.
Oh yeah, Ari. There you go. Thank you. Sorry, Ari. What will you be looking forward to most over the next few days?
Well, I think the thing I'm looking forward to most is happening in Kansas City on Sunday night at 8:37.
Ah, very nice.
But second most, I'm very conflicted about this, Dave, because somebody scheduled two of my favorite things at the same time.
Oh yeah, that's always a bummer when that happens.
And I don't know what to do. But so probably what I'll do is I'll watch WrestleMania like later because it's easier. And I'll watch, so it's going to be a long day. So there's 3 baseball games on Sunday. They start at 1 o'clock. There's the Cardinals and Pirates, and then the Rays and Blue Jays, and then WrestleMania and the Mets, both at 8 o'clock. So lots of stuff going on Sunday. I'll probably watch WrestleMania after the baseball game is over. It'll be a late night for me. But, yeah, I'll also watch NXT on Friday night, or maybe not on Friday night, but sometime before WrestleMania I'll watch it. I don't know. Last year we all said the same thing on your show, that WrestleMania is going to suck, and I thought it was okay. So I have a limited amount of faith in them to do something good.
Well, to give it,
if I could,
good.
If I could have one thing, I hope Biddle has a better excuse when his wife asked him why he's so tired the next morning that he was watching WrestleMania late at night. I hope people. I hope you have a better excuse.
I mean, that baseball game's not going to end until 11 o'clock, and WrestleMania is 4 hours. So, it's going to be a late night.
Oh, yeah.
I may not finish it until the next night, but we'll see.
That's a pretty jam-packed action of...
Or I may do the two-screen solution and watch them both at the same time.
Well, you would be able to put either one on digital, right? Anyone could be on...
WWE Network you can watch on anything.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Good deal. Pretty neat. So, guys, enjoy WrestleMania this year. And thanks once again for filling me in on all the particulars of the World Wrestling Entertainment. Should be good. It will. Well, I'm not gonna say should be good fun. We'll see what happens. It should be interesting anyway. We'll see what goes on. So, guys, my thanks. We'll do it again if next time out, and we'll hear from some of you guys down the rest of the year too. So, take it easy, everybody. Thanks again for all the time you spent you spent here tonight. It's been a good time. Have a good weekend and enjoy. Thanks, everybody. What? Did everybody go? Just like that?
I don't know.
Thanks, Dave.
See you later, Dave.
All right, guys.
Oh, okay.
Take it easy. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, Dave.
You too.
I was expecting music.
Forgot the music. Yeah, you're right. There you go.
What happened to the music? You're right.
I thought you signed off to everybody.
Yeah.
Here's the music.
Good
all
night,
right, fellas. Take care.
All right.
You're right. You're right. The music it's not officially over till you get the music. Here we are. Good stuff. All right, guys. Take it easy.
Good night.
All right. Good night, guys.
That is our show, everybody. Thanks to Ari and John and Parcells and Quickies and Umberto's. I'm Dave. We'll be back next Tuesday with Seinfeld Trivia. Be there. We'll see. Till then, we'll see you next time.